and do it again.
It was green to start. Okay, testing. Can you hear us online? Sorry about that. Okay, we're good. Thanks, Chuck.
Woohoo.
Sorry about that.
In your packet, you have a recommendation for an appointment for the Prairie View Advisory Committee.
Commission has had a chance to review. Any questions? What is there a motion to appoint Kevin Larson to the Marion County Advisory Committee for Prairie View? Commissioner Becker.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Kevin, for agreeing to serve.
Thanks for getting that audio door camera off me. It was sitting over here looking at me for some reason. I was like,
I don't know what, how that happened.
I'm not making any noise.
In your packet, you have, I had sent a purchase request out for EMS. Chuck has asked to return back to using the EMS charts program. We've used it for several years, and then a change was made last year. He's asking to go back to another 5-year agreement at $3,016.44 a year, plus a $520 one-time fee to update the information.
Chuck is online, so if commissioners have any questions.
What have we spent for that, other the new program, and how long a term did we go in when we signed up for it?
So the new program was through something that was offered through the state, and there was no charge.
No charge?
And so we haven't spent money on it, but it's not working well for the department.
Good question.
And beyond that, if Chuck needs to offer any, because we did talk about that.
Any other questions for Chuck? Now, is there a motion to move forward with the change to EMS charts? I would make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Chuck.
Okay. On the table, you have two letters of support for 290th, and then a draft letter of support on behalf of the county commission for the 290th cost share application. I'd just like to have the approval on that letter from the county, or any changes that you would want.
Any questions on the letter or suggestions for changes?
Make a motion to approve the letters of recommendation for the 290th project.
We have a motion from Commissioner Becker. I'll second it. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you for that, Tina.
I have I provided basically kind of a report and some information for you all as far as things that have been taken care of. And part of that was the information about that the asphalt projects that you all approved are going to be put to bid, and that's coming out on April 1st, I believe. The engineer recommended doing it all as one package rather than doing alternate like pieces. And then the engineer and the department are asking if the board would be okay with adding 3/4 of a mile on Old Mill between Highway 56 and 190th to that package.
Any questions or thoughts on that? Would there be a motion to include the 3/4 mile stretch?
I would make that motion to include, and if I'm right, that's the one that goes to the lake, the road? I didn't look to see.
Probably. I think so.
it is.
I believe so.
Nighthawk and then Old Mill, a mile over, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, I would. Make that motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Dahlke. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Becker. Other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Do you want to bid that piece as an alternate at all, or just include it in the overall?
Include it. If we're gonna include everything else, might as well throw it in there.
Okay.
Included.
Okay, I have just a couple of questions about the board's preference as far as, our process has been that the county commissioners review all of the employee evaluations once the department heads have gone over those with the employees. Do you want to continue that process of reviewing those? Or do you want that to be done administratively?
I would rather it be administratively, but I'm trying to think of the drawback. I'm trying to think before I.
Well, it sometimes is helpful just to, because it's just a review. I mean,
Right, and then the chairman signs off on them.
I don't know, it's commission preference. If you want to
You
continue,
can see good and bad. I mean, it's nice to see some of these people we're familiar with. And
Well, for me, it's department heads and just seeing how tight of a ship they run.
true.
You know, and it's good to see that, and then, you know, you can back them a little better because you know that they're not being wasteful or.
And also to see some judge everybody up here, some judge them down here, and see how it goes in our whole, everybody, so, yeah, I'd appreciate seeing them.
I don't know, I think under our new structure, that's administrative.
Yeah, I think it's administrative, but it could fall into everything else, as long as it comes through and we can review it on, you know, in a packet or something.
Yeah.
Is that doable?
No. I can't include that in a packet, or, I mean, I could potentially do,
No, not in a packet, but I meant
oh, okay.
a board notification, not a public notification.
It might be, if we're going to do it, set aside time to review the
Oh,
actual
yeah,
printed, rather than having to scan them all, wouldn't it?
yeah.
The process.
I would rather see you do that than trying to scan all those in and then,
Okay. I just try to go the electronic route as much as possible, so.
So, commission preference, do you want to set aside a time to look through? Or would you rather assign it to the administrator?
And you gotta go through executive session to do that.
That'd be,
right. So you could do that in a meeting, or if the board wants to, if you want to do it administratively, if you want to look at them, you could always come in and look at them in the administrator's office too.
There you go.
So, but that would be individually, not as part of a meeting. So it's whichever process you want. And I'm happy to accommodate either one.
Good with visiting the administrator, that would work.
that work?
That way you have, whenever you got an opportunity to do it, it doesn't extend the meeting.
yeah.
Randy, does that
Yeah.
sound okay? Okay, I'm just trying to get consensus from the board. Sounds like that would be the process, that you take care of it. If any of the commissioners have interest, they can come individually to your office to look through.
Okay. The next question I have is another kind of similar question about your preference for department head reports. So I know that I'm meeting with the department heads regularly, and I'm gonna be providing reports to you, but do you still want the department heads to come on a regular basis and come and see you and report?
I'd rather see it through an administrative report myself.
Like on a quarterly basis or anything like that? For example, ambulance department, you know, do you want to see Chuck in here besides just having a written report or a?
I think it'd be nice to see them once a quarter.
I'm looking for.
I know, I'm weighing out
Wouldn't the administrator have a feel whether they should talk to us in person?
Well, and to me, there'll be certain instances.
Certain things they will
There's
need
certain
to,
things,
but just,
but I
I'm
mean-
just talking about a kind of a check-in, just a chance to meet face-to-face if the board wants to continue to do that, and how often.
I think as needs arise, that's good enough for me. And then
That's the way
administrator.
I look at it. If the need arises, call them in.
Sound agreeable, or? Dickinson County uses kind of an abbreviated type of deal where the department heads come in. How often do they do that?
Quarterly.
And maybe we could work that in when we get to the point of a work session, just brief.
You just might remember too, that you're all sitting here with people that's been around and do it. We're gonna get some new commissioners someday.
Right.
So how are they gonna get their information to know where we're at today? Just thought I'd ask. Oh, go through there. Sometimes that's only as good as the person that gives it to you.
Just
And the new commission can change their preferences.
Change it
I mean,
anytime.
this commission can change. We may decide in 6 months down the road, we do want them to come in. That's a preference.
it's administrator, not a manager.
Yeah. All right, I guess what I'm hearing is as needed. Is that right? Okay.
We can try it.
And if we decide we miss seeing our department heads regularly, we can bring them in.
Okay. Road and Bridge had brought up a road crossing permit for approval.
Okay. Okay, this is a request from Mound Ridge Telephone Company, place fiber optic cable within Marion County on back slope of areas in the attached map. Minimum of 42-inch depth, inspector on site full time. Quite a large area, south of Gosel, which is good. Putting in fiber cable.
All over down 120.
Yeah, I'll let you pass the map around so you can see.
How far are they coming into the county, Dave?
I'm sorry?
How far are they coming into the
Up to
county?
Gosel.
They're building, they actually built into Gossel, so there's a hub there, and now they're building out in.
From Gossel?
Yeah, so they're way out here already. It's done. They're asking for this area down.
Pretty good size area.
Pretty much,
South and east.
eventually. It's getting closer to all of my district being almost covered. It's the benefit of having so many people tightly together.
One,
It's easier for them to financially
miles out. Okay.
make it work.
Okay, is there a motion to approve permit 2024-1? Motion by Commissioner Garing, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
While we're on broadband, probably Matt will be getting a hold of you, I think. There's a state rep coming for, interested in Marion County for broadband too. And it's gonna be at the Peabody Library, coming up March 26th. But Matt's got the information.
Okay.
Get a hold of Matt and
Matt.
Giles.
Okay. I got a lot of Matts in my life, so.
Yeah, that's right. Got Matt's style.
My brother Matt is the one that goes overboard on broadband, so that's, yeah.
I guess it was between Hillsborough and Peabody, and they chose Peabody Library for the meeting. That's the only way I knew about it, what's happening on March 26th.
Construction of.
County from the state person comes down, so thought we need to be there.
What date is that, Randy? 26th?
March 26th, yes. Haven't got their invitations out yet.
One thing that I didn't include on the upcoming events, but wanted to touch base with you about, the Youth Leadership Program is going to be meeting on March 21st, which is a Thursday. And this is the session that will be held in Marion. And we wanted to try to incorporate a meeting with the commission like we did for the adult class, and potentially invite some other civic leaders. So that, I was just wanting to find out if you'd like to do a special meeting for that. It would be in the afternoon, probably like at 1 o'clock on March 21st, which is a Thursday.
I think we need to do the special meeting. 1 o'clock, agreeable?
That'll probably have to be online.
Yep. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
I have a little more coming in, but it ain't there yet.
Also, the celebration for the youth leadership program, for them finishing the program, is Monday, March 25th. And it'll be in the evening at the Brandon Iron in Florence, like what we have done for the adult classes. I believe it's 6:30.
3
Commission is invited.
I will not be able to.
Okay. We'll get you some invitations.
Yeah, 26th. Wife's birthday is 27th.
Okay. So I believe that was all I have for administrative.
I would like permission to attend the Kansas Association of County Commissioner meeting. It's in April in Pittsburgh, since I didn't go to the Wichita meeting. Would that be agreeable?
Fine, yeah. That's good.
I'll talk to Tina about registration. I think they're due, the hotels are due this weekend. I'll send you an email on it.
Sounds good.
Anything else administrative?
Well, Tina, didn't you send some pay sheets through too?
When's April?
Did you send some pay sheets?
Yeah, I sent that in my report because you said that you all authorized me to approve
Send them.
those, but you said you want to see them, so I sent them to you to look at.
Okay, I thought we was told that one person was hired at $20 an hour in the county attorney's office with no benefits.
Yes.
Okay, the one I see on here don't say that on the hire sheet.
It's a part-time.
Part-time.
Teresa Hayes, new temporary part-time.
So part-time is no benefits.
No benefits, no insurance, no nothing.
Correct.
So if I want to hire a grader operator at 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week, at no benefits, I can do the same.
Yeah, the department head could hire
Well,
an employee part-time. We do have some seasonal, like part-time employees in Road and Bridge.
Yeah. Guess that's what I was arguing about last week. Same thing. No benefits, no
Well,
insurance,
that's-
nothing.
Okay, so that's different. Part-time versus full-time is a different thing.
You only work so many hours a year, then.
Well, correct.
Have they been budgeting for that new position?
This is a position that we put in to scan the documents that we've been needing to move out of a specific location in the courthouse. So this is on that project. They did not budget this position, but they have room in their budget to pay for it because they have been short, they're temporarily down a person in the office, so.
And then my other point on this is, how do they get a raise and not the rest of the employees? The way it looks to me, the other two employees got a raise and the rest of the employees didn't.
Okay, so that's what the county attorney came and talked to you about several months ago, about redoing the job descriptions in the department and creating a new position and moving his people. So that was something that he talked to you months ago about, and that's what that is.
I
That
forgot.
just happened, yeah.
And the descriptions were in the packet.
Yeah, we were waiting on job descriptions. I think it was at the end of last year that he was talking about that.
At
So-
last time.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was kind of a restructuring.
Was our prior employee that was in the attorney's office considered a paralegal?
No, we didn't have that position before as a job description. They were considered an, whatever the other one is,
Legal
legal
assistant?
assistant.
So is that position, that requires a certificate, right?
I don't believe so, no.
You can get a certification through a lot of the junior colleges or certain other specific programs, but it's not required in order to use the title. It's a combination of work history, practical experience. It's really loosely formed.
That's what we've written our job description based on that.
On the
On
paralegal,
experience, not just on
Yes.
experience.
yes. It does not require a certificate.
Any other questions?
And that packet that I sent you, I mean, that's the kind of information that you're wanting to see, correct? Okay. Great.
That's good.
Okay, and I think that's all I have.
We thought we were there 5 minutes ago.
I know.
We're still within our time slot, though.
Yes.
All right. That position keeps evolving. We keep making our evolution of administrative business, so that's good, making progress. All right, let's move into the 1220 East Main demolition bid award.
Okay. We did have the bid tab in your packet. And since, Bryce, since you're here, I didn't know if you were presenting that or,
Nope.
oh, you're just here.
Just here for everything else.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so we did have actually 3 bidders. One bid was rejected because of, it was an incorrect format with no bid bond. And so then there were 2 other bids. And the recommendation is to go with the bid from Het Construction for $12,400.
Questions?
I just wish I knew what the other bid was and why they didn't have a bid bond.
And Hetz doesn't have much mobilization.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much closer than that.
Yeah, I drove past the equipment. They just, I don't, I'd like to have that other detail, but I don't, it's not gonna change how this goes today.
And I appreciate what you said. I looked at the bid and it's, for what we're gonna be doing is not out of line that I see up there. So I'd make the motion to accept HEP construction to demolition for $12,400. Is that the correct price?
Yes.
$12,400.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Dahlke.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Crowfoot. Other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We appreciate the companies that bid on the project.
Okay. Yes.
All right, move into Health Department building project discussion. I believe the committee met this morning.
Yeah. And got some things to discuss. We went through the cut list.
Okay. I see some red ink.
Some of the red ink,
Here's
yeah,
that coming out.
some of the red ink come out and cut some things. And,
What about the sledgehammer? Did it come out too?
no, we didn't get that far. We didn't get that far.
Stop before that.
I was gonna go get the old croquet mallet that used to be around with the commissioner, but I didn't find it either, so.
I'm glad it could be handled with this.
Yeah, yeah, but, we went through and I think through the whole process, you know, we come up with this 1.2 to 1.5 goal of hitting, and some of the bids was put out ahead of any of the 60% drawings. They was done on the, just on, well, yeah, and they was done on that, and they was also done on the floor plan, just what we had on the floor plan, what we gathered. So,
Imagination.
yeah, so, and I think anybody can understand that if they don't have it down to the dot the i's and all that kind of stuff, that some people may be a little high. And so I think probably that's where some of this come in at our original was I think we come in 1.68.
Second page.
Second page. Yeah. So, after we went through everything today, and also if you look at the bottom of that second page, don't know whether you still have that, we've got a contingency in there of 5%, of 76,000. So, Chris with Alloy said usually they come in with a contingency at 3% for our normal bids that they accept. So anyway, there is some money there, but we also know that contingencies are always touched. And I think Cody Nelson today said he knows that there's going to have to be some come out of that contingency at that 76. But after we got done cutting with, one of the things we're still looking at is the 48,000 generator versus KW versus an 80,000 KW generator. That's one of the things we're looking at. There's a few things with putting the heaters out in the garage and out there that creates firewall protection to go through the building in case that where it goes through goes down fire or sucks the fire right through there and goes into the rest of the building. So that's something that's just come up today that we was talking about. Quite 2 or 3 little things that's not quite ironed out yet. And when we got down to it with the generator and that, and then one other thing that come in pretty high was the electrical come in, and Cody Nelson himself said, looking at the drawings and things, that he didn't think that he had 75,000 and it come in at 176,000. The electrical did come in at that. So that was an item there that come in higher than what he expected. That's 100,000 higher, or we would have been floating right along. If it come in at 100,000, we'd have floated along. So, is there anything else I'm leaving out, Dave, as the main contention? Krista, you guys tell me if there's anything else.
The outside of the building, we went, instead of stone, we're going synthetic.
The panels. I've seen that a lot. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually show any. I mean, it's not gonna last
I mean, we,
forever like limestone, but it'll last.
in our meeting with Alloy, they asked us, could they give us the best of everything? And they did, and we, kind of like the flooring, we got a chance to.
Well, they
come
said
back
different
some-
suppliers, I guess, maybe would not, I mean, the main flooring is vinyl
Well,
as
we're
it
not-
is.
Between masonry and synthetic, they gave us the masonry. That's what they recommended.
And on that list too, what Dave first talked about, the remove all masonry, we looked at that today. But then you would have a bare steel post up there in the front of the building and things like that. And Cody Nelson is gonna,
Well, that was on the metal thing.
yeah, it's on the metal deal too, but Cody wants to he cut the cost there a little bit and wanted to go back to some other stuff, still wrap them. But I didn't know till today when we was talking about it that some of the roof drains was coming down in that square, covering that post. Some of the roof drains is coming down and be covered instead of out in the open and things like that. So that was some other things that we talked about today that was on the list. But going through, if nobody else has, there's the lights, the fire alarms and a few things like that. We're talking to Kobe, who was in on the meeting with us today, and that's sort of a issue that Kobe and Cody Nelson is going to work on and see if there's something we can do in-house to save us some dollars there too, to where for the security. What else was in?
Because
Cameras.
Cameras and that, yes.
half the price is labor.
Yeah, so that was another point, but we got it down to 1 point, where's it at? 1.4, 1.4 and 1.5.
Yeah, 1.516.
The last page. And also we talked about conduit, instead of not using conduit, we use the plastic. Takes a lot of labor.
Yeah, 1.516, and then you can see on the yellow pages there that the contingency money would come off that 1.516. If we didn't use any at all, you'd be back down to 1.4 something, 46, somewhere in there if you didn't use any contingency money. But we've got some other things here that's still in the lurking there of what we do with the 48 or go to the 80, and difference between 2 boxes or 1 electrical box. And I think Kobe was talking about 5 years down the road, if you go with 2 panels, then somebody comes in, you don't know which one's the generator panel and which one's the non-generator panel. 5 years down the road or something like that, just if you used a smaller generator and didn't do the whole building. And that was another thing we discussed. We discussed quite a bit since we had an almost 2-hour meeting. So that's the update. I think we can get in and keep it under the 1.5. And now we just got the other bid too for the demolition, so that's 12.8 or 12.4, whatever that was, not terrible. So that'll be on here. So I guess that's the best I can report to you right now. I personally think we can go ahead and give the okay to order the building so they can get it on the way and get it started. Unless there's questions, and we're open for questions.
Building's 18 weeks out.
I guess let's focus, you've gone through the valued engineering options.
Yes.
Are there questions or discussion on those items before we'll tackle those 4 first and then do the 2 below, the data and then the generator. But first, let's look at the top ones. Any questions from the committee recommendation? Or any
Would you-
recommends for changes?
Another big one was the lowering of the sheetrock inside the building.
Yes, that's a big item.
And the reason they don't do that is because of sound in the next room. Sound will carry over.
What?
Krista said she wouldn't talk very
Where they
well.
take the panels clear to the ceiling and
Yeah.
So does that give you any value engineer basing? You lower the walls, therefore your whole ceiling grid system becomes a plenum. Does the return air
Yeah, that
not have
changes.
to be built?
It changes that
It
then,
changes that, yes. We did talk about that.
They allowed open air
They're
plenum.
gonna look at that, yes.
Return.
but we don't know how much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Well,
don't have no
it's-
dollar figure on
You
it.
gotta build a return air and a supply air to every room. You're
Yeah.
cutting half of that out.
Yeah. So there is some expense there saved too. We just didn't have a dollar figure for it, John.
Okay.
Yeah, he just put a guess in there of 4,000. It's right there where it says ducted returns to plenum.
Oh, I didn't see it. All right.
Yeah.
And we downsized the water heater.
Yeah. Downsize it or just change the manufacturer?
Change the manufacturer.
Yeah. And maybe a little style too. We even talked about putting big ones underneath the sinks where we use them and stuff, but.
Is any of that stuff sourced local, or do you know?
I didn't ask that question.
It's like, I don't know, I kinda like that, cause when stuff fails, I ain't gotta strap it down to a rig, haul it all the way to Wichita. You can put it in the back of a pickup, you can take it right over here, get a new one, come back, they handle your warranty claim.
When we did that CMAR, when we interviewed everyone for that, that was a question we did ask.
I just don't know if anybody sells that unit locally. I'm just kinda thinking if you kinda keep those things in mind.
On the $6,000 heater.
No, on the cheaper one, if it's a vet.
I would think the cheaper one would be more readily local available.
And if you can find it here,
The
then.
specialty one would be.
And if it does fail, just go back to your local vendor and make it way easier.
This morning, they was discussing 5 years as maybe every 5 years you'd have to put a water heater in. And so that was something that we sort of thinking about too, that if you have to put if it did happen every 5 years, it don't necessarily happen every 5 years, but if you did, you can't hire somebody, a plumber, and get it in there for, usually a new one for, just a cheaper one for less than $1,000. So would it be better to go to this higher price one and get a longer life out of it? But we didn't he didn't give us a guarantee on a longer life on them. So, so that was another thing we discussed this morning about water heaters. Keep going.
I mean, you guys went through a lot of things.
Then, light fixtures, they're all LED lighting. And you and me can't tell the difference. Is that a high price or a cheap one up there?
The difference come back to like Commissioner Dalkey said, if it's got a longer life that exceeds the,
LED lighting, I mean,
Yeah, it's come a long way, so
Yeah.
you can buy comparables for way cheaper.
One other thing that we got into quite a bit of discussion about was alternate window brand style, where we looked at that over there for the jail, and Cody has another one that's, he feels is just as good, and long as life as any of the others, but they don't have window shades in them.
oh, not built in.
Not built in, so we're thinking of maybe using the window shades of just like these. These are added on, and we would do that on those windows there too, some
Well,
sort of.
that's what, there's a line, lines added,
Yeah, yeah.
but you're still saving on the cost of the window.
Yeah.
So your net is about
another big thing, the fence for security. We didn't feel we need to spend $5,000 for that in Marion, Kansas.
That's just during construction.
They will put snow fence up
Yeah,
during construction.
I think Commissioner Gearing talked about that last week.
It usually becomes cumbersome, and then the gates wind up out in the middle of the road, the main road.
somebody drives over it.
Yeah, they get bent, the lull can't squeeze around there, so it gets drove over.
We did keep the sneeze guard up there. Kept that. We kept provide the screw down standard roof on a standing seam. We went to the standing seam to where you don't have the screw downs, and then provide standard pre-engineered metal building insulation, which is your roll stuff. We kept that instead of taking that out of there and not insulating the building. We felt that was worth more than we would get more value out of putting it in the building than not putting it in the building. So that's what we did this morning. We went through it, had quite a bit of discussion. Chris from Alloy was on the phone. Cody was on the phone. Kobe was
You had a
here.
couple of people from Illinois.
Yeah, I had a couple people from Alloy, checking rules and regulations for the building regulations, so code. So I guess just keep on asking. We'll see if we can answer any other questions.
Is there anything else on the top patio engineering portion? At this point, I'm hearing consensus with the committee recommendations.
County provide the dumpsters, we took that out because we all seen that Josh did a good job up there with the other building on the highway.
Did you have something to add?
No, just that I have given you on the table there some, the funding in a spreadsheet. So you have the potential building cost, and then I've added in some of the unseen costs that aren't just the building project itself. So if we have the estimated building cost at 1.502, the detailed building plans, which you've already committed to, 81,000, construction oversight, which you've already committed to, that was actually 17.5, but I put it in here as 18 in case there are some reimbursables there. I put soft costs in for furnishings and et cetera, about 110,000. Owner provided for data phones, and those things at 40,000, and then the demolition at 15,000. So overall project cost looks like it would be about 1.766. And then I've taken out so you previously approved some funding towards the project. You approved utilizing the remainder of the ARPA funds, and that total is just over $946,000 right now. You approved the $50,000 in LATCF funds, and then the additional interest that the county received over and above the adjusted budget. That number at the end of 2023 ended up being almost $258,000. And then Krista said she has $90,000 in grants that can go towards some of the soft costs. And so that is funding in the amount of 1.344 almost. And so that leaves a balance to fund at about 422,000 for the whole project. So,
We didn't get into the funding part of it this morning, we was just strictly in the building, and then we ended it right before dinner.
You had a target budget to try to hit, and that was your objective.
Yes.
The rest of it wasn't.
so what else, the other thing that I gave you was the, we are carrying about 1.136 million in funds from the Diamond Vista project that are carrying in our general fund on the financial statement. And so those are currently not specifically allocated. So that would be a funding source that you could utilize potentially to fund the remaining balance of the project, unless you wanted to look at a lease purchase or something else for the balance.
I don't think we have the appetite for a lease purchase at the current interest rates.
I don't want to touch that. That's part of the general fund, and we're already running on smaller general fund that I'm comfortable with.
The commission did vote to take any of the unbudgeted raises, any amounts that departments would go over from unfunded raises that were given last year from the Diamond Vista funds. However, it looks like, that may only be about 200,000 total. So that's what I put in there. Also put that as the potential funding source for those pledges on those wireless grants that you have approved. And then we've already paid out for the Peabody Housing Project out of there. So that's why where the 1.136 comes from.
Questions?
We haven't never set nothing with the wind farm budget. We've got one looming thing that I think we do need to set a cap on, and that's what we just did in the last few meetings is going through $100 a business or person for trying to get internet in their county. We do need to set a budget on that, but the wind farm money looks like maybe a place to go for some of this and finish it off and pay it off and be done with it.
I'm not in favor of that.
I agree, that'd be a good place. That'd be a good use for the funds. That's funding coming into the county, and public health would be a good use for that money.
And there's also some avenues out there to get some grants.
Right.
But we can't ask for the grant till we order the damn building.
Let's say finalize the plans. How about that?
Well, I mean, it's just,
But you're exactly correct. There are opportunities out there for some grant funds, but we have to get to that point.
It's too bad
But we don't budget those grant funds coming in. So I would make the motion to fund the balance of the public health building from the Diamond Vista farm funds.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dahlke. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Nay. Motion carried 4-1. Commissioner Becker opposed. Okay. Now we got our funding in place. Let's go back to the building budget again. Kobe, did you have any input on those? I'm putting you back on the spot again, on those options that were presented and discussed. I mean, we haven't made we got a consensus, but did you see any warning signs on those that have been approved?
No, I mean, we had some pretty good back and forth a little bit on concessions, and I think, thank you, and I think, it really is what it is right now. From the original budget plan 6-8 months ago to now to the real world and the current prices, I think the concessions that were made, some of these I was a little concerned about, and just overall.
Sure.
But I think that between what Chris was comfortable with from the architectural standpoint, as well as Cody on his side, I think they at least arrived at a happy medium. Obviously, it may not be what we originally had hoped on every element of it, but at this point, with the cap where it is, we kind of have to cut somewhere, and I think that we did a pretty good job of whittling down to that point. So
Well, and that's what I like to hear, is that the hard questions were asked, and if there were concerns, they were addressed. Right.
Yes.
I think we kind of vetted that as best as we could going through this VE list at this point, and I don't think there was anything else that stood out as a large enough swing to add. We added some small ones in there too to get to the objective, and I think at the end of the day, that's basically where we're at. So
Very good.
I don't see us getting any better.
Krista, did you have any final?
I don't, just along the lines of the grants, which are not a guarantee, but that we will be applying. We did get permission to go through Marion Advancement Campaign, since they are a 501c3, to use the 501c3 to apply, because a lot of these grants you can't apply for unless you are a not-for-profit
Excellent.
organization. What'd you say?
Nothing. I'll talk with you later about that.
Okay.
More details. Okay, well, it looks like we have consensus on the top value-added savings. Now I'd like to hit the other two underneath, data security and then the generator. So Toby, could you maybe talk us through the security option?
So I think he's got fire alarm data for voice and data, as well as the security components that they had included in their cost. And so as we looked at it, we kind of were backing that out of their budget, so that way we kind of bring that in-house. And so I think the total is roughly 40 grand is roughly what he had. And so I said I can only see maybe a certain amount, and I said the rest we can take of actual component spend, and then the rest I can just do it in-house.
Okay, so that's bringing it in-house, and then that's what Tina had added in her. Did you add that? You had-
Cody put that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Cody's sheet.
But on your sheet to us about the total costs, we have owner-provided data, phones.
Well, we would have had some of those costs anyway. That's not part of what I'm talking about. We're still gonna need phones, and we're still gonna need, like, the IT pieces for, so no.
We were above our goal of the 1.5,
Right.
and so we kind of had thrown out every other option
Right,
now.
right.
So that's when I was kind of like, I wanted to know what that number was of what he had, and kind of pull that back in to see what we could absorb here and just take care of on that, and to get below that line.
So this number would be the savings of doing it in-house.
Yes, those are the external components, because it would be those plus this cost, but we can save about 25 of their 40 of what would be needed for the infrastructure to support that cost. So by reducing that.
This sheet has labor in it.
Okay.
So you're basically, you're gonna have Chase only on the building, and then parts and smarts, right?
So basically that'll be it. So basically the cable cost,
And then you're gonna absorb the,
fire alarm components, we'd bring in-house direct, we'd bring the cabling in direct, including the labor to put all that in. And so, yeah, we need the chase and for the fire alarm, the full conduit system, and then whatever they're doing. I think they're revising that scope a little bit to reduce, because occupancy was a little, they went high on it. And then, so we'd back that in to where we basically just bring it at raw materials cost and then in-house to do that.
Does that make sense? Is
Yeah.
that
Well, that's-
workable?
it's what I thought was going on, I just
You
trying
guys
to.
talk the same language.
Well, my language ends where his begins.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you understand his language. The main thing is the conduiting is all there, but he can do the cable.
Because we had already kind of, we were trying to get some landscape maybe or something back into the budget. I was like, some windows or something, but, and we just had already exhausted that discussion at the top. And so that was about the only one that had some flexibility to be able to then bring that scope back, so.
You know how many RTUs or air conditioners there are on this building?
Not off the top of my head, I'd have to look as far as.
Four?
Is there 4 total?
4 units.
Oh, 3.
ACs.
Three on the one end and one on the
Yeah, I think it's 4 units.
Decent load.
Yeah.
I was looking at the generator line.
Oh.
I'm jumping ahead, sorry.
And we're debating, it's calculated with your 350 is your amps total right now, so that went above their original budget of 200, so then they were going back and forth on generator size. And PEC has it down to full building load could operate 80 kW. Fractional could be 60 and down all the way to 24, and then you've got one outlet per 12 rooms to be on generator and extension cords. So I think we're kind of trying to balance a happy medium to keep it full building if possible. Should be
Right, and
We
so.
gotta buy the 400 amp box to begin with.
Yeah.
And so that number at the very bottom of that third page is if you went all the way down to 24 kW, which is probably not necessarily the recommendation, so.
You have to lock out all your loads.
So that would be one that you probably wouldn't want to
Okay.
do.
So the recommendation would really not be to reduce the generator size.
No, not at all.
It gets too complicated.
We'd remember everything we did today, but 5 years from now in a crisis or a need, it's just not gonna be practical, I don't think, and I don't think that's what you'd want. So, I mean, we can do some, partial, generator circuits per room instead of full, and that'll reduce that size. But, yeah, we were trying to come down a little to where we had a little flexibility to maintain that full building load if doable.
You could still have the smaller generator pick up the whole building. You just would have to put on lockout modules on those units. And then you wouldn't have to remember which panel was emergency. It would all be emergency. It's just, you're familiar with it. There's a module that keeps that device from running while the generator's running.
And that just determines on what we would, have building function change year over year, right?
Sometimes it kicks back on automatically.
Well, yeah, sometimes they add a mini split and nobody thinks anything about it.
And that's what I was trying to think of, is like,
Secret.
it's gonna change over time after we
The
do it.
freezer, no.
Job security. That's my job to tell people about that.
You better have it written down somewhere.
And everything else stops in the building once electrical has an issue, and so that's why I was like, that's like water, in a building. Sheet rock and windows are one thing, but after you're in operations, electricity is almost everything, so.
One final thing, real quick, like Cody Nelson, I see you're on, or was on, did you leave? He must have left. He said he had a 1:30 meeting.
1:30.
He had a 1:30 meeting.
He's gone.
He's gone, yeah, he was just up there and he left, so I was gonna thank him for being here and doing that, but, after that, if we wanted to call him yet today, we could. He said 1:30 to 2:30, he would be busy. So.
Okay. I think most of the questions have been answered. Appreciate Kobe being here, unless you had something specifically for Kobe.
Well, I did offer to help him pull wires and things.
Oh.
I offered, I don't know if he'll accept my offer or not, but. well,
That'll keep the contingency.
Yeah. Hourly labor's pretty tough on him.
I think I'm reading a consensus on the valued engineering and the fire alarm data and security saving. If that's the case, I'd make the motion to approve the committee recommendation of the valued engineering options that have been selected by the committee and the fire system data and security savings.
The low voltage.
Second that.
Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. So that brings us down to a 1.4, basically 1.492. I guess the next question then is, do we go ahead and proceed with ordering a pre-engineered metal building?
That's where what we're looking to do, I mean.
Would that be a committee motion then?
We voted on already?
You approved the budget.
We approved the budget, oh, okay.
Through the budget and the funding source, so.
I make the motion that we task Cody Nelson with getting the best bid and get the building on order.
Is that your end of your motion?
What?
Is that it?
Yeah.
I'd second it.
Okay.
Get the best price and check everybody,
Motion by Commissioner Crowfoot, second by Commissioner Dalkey, to proceed with ordering the pre-engineered metal building. Discussion?
Yeah. No secret through this whole thing. This is never really where I wanted the building to be or anything, but I'm ready to move on to the next project.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, if no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We have the building. And the adventure moves to the next level. Well, the committee, I really appreciate Nate and Randy, your time, you put in a tremendous amount of time. Krista, Kobe, the advice that's been put into that, going over the details, working with the architect, working with Katie Nelson. I know it's been a big task. But, I feel very confident that all the hard questions have been asked and the answers have been found. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, County Councilor, do you have a couple hours for us today? We can go till 3:30.
Not sure we'll go quite that long, but there are a number of things. All of these can be dealt with under contract negotiations, multiple topics. I'll call for that, and they would
Losing them.
fit an executive session best, I believe.
How much time would you like?
Oh, let's, no less than 20 minutes, or, and it could, depending on your questions, take 30.
About 25.
Sounds good.
All right. I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, and that would be item 2, consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad and Tina, for 25 minutes. It's 1:35 to 1:50.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Herring. You double-check my math. 1:50. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 1:50.
Okay.
We're out?
Oh, you have one.
Oh, yeah.
Have to come out.
All right, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. Would like to go in for another 5 minutes. So I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad and Tina, for 5 minutes. And I'm gonna get it right this time. It's 1:51 to 1:56.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 1:56. No, I don't, there it is.
Too much windshield
We are
time.
out of executive session, no decisions made. Did you have any other?
The only other thing that I had, actually, no. I'll talk with Tina about it tomorrow before I bring it up here.
Okay, very good. Tina, you had requested a property acquisition. How long would you?
5 minutes.
It's not gonna be, since I've messed up every executive session so long time, I'm gonna hold it to 5 minutes.
2:05.
Yeah, that's good.
I appreciate it. I need to time first. I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss property acquisition pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, and that would be number 6, preliminary discussion of acquisition of real estate. With the commission, Brad and Tina, for 5 minutes. 6. Okay, 6 minutes.
2:05.
To 2:05.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. We will be back at 2:05.
Okay, we are on.
Sends her an alert on their phone.
All right, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. We are going to have one more, should be the last one of the day. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Number 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance. With the commission, Brad and Tina, for 15 minutes, 2:05 to 2:21.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dalkey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Be back at 2:20. 2:21.
Okay, we're on.
All right, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. Any commission comments? Okay.
Just, commission, I mean, I know Dave and I and the appointed us as board members to try to put a new health building together, and hope we've done a good job. We've tried. I think there's always going to be some quirks, but anyway, thanks for moving ahead, and we'll get on this situation, get it done. And the biggest thing I see is, no matter whether it come out of the wind farm or some of the ARPA money, which they was a big part of, it's, right now, it's not gonna cost us taxpayers anything for the building, or right now, or too much at the most. We may have some cost a little bit, but anyway, I think it's a good thing, and I thank everybody that voted for it.
Thank you. Anything else?
Going back to the value of certain key individuals, we got somebody can prepare a budget like none other. And we all see how our evaluations are doing on our own property tax sheets. They're all going up. We need to work on making sure we run a tighter budget and pull our mill levy down to help compensate, because the evaluations need to be what the evaluations need to be, but we can dictate how that mill levy looks. And we have an excellent individual that's gonna create us all kinds of savings and figure that.
And to add to that, we also saw today that the new position that we created is saving funds for the county.
Yep. So, just wanna make sure, it seems to be a bother to some people, so I just, let's drive it home.
They don't understand what neither one of those are doing.
Right.
And
So we
that's-
need to
just
point
look
it
at
out.
numbers.
We need to point it out when it comes up.
Like you said, everybody, all they do is see mill levy going up, so that where it's gonna go up every year, it's gonna go up every year. Well, we're gonna have to hold the line here.
Actually, the mill levy is not going up, but the taxes have gone, valuations
Yeah,
have
the
gone.
valuations have
Taxes
gone.
have gone up.
Have you seen
And
what's going?
I think the valuations,
The evaluation.
what I've seen, they've topped out.
And that's fine. I mean, without having an appraisal for your home, your net worth is going up. It's up to the commission to make sure you don't pay too much taxes on that.
I'm not quite with you there, but a little bit. But have you
It's
watched?
It's nice when you talk it, but most people don't even gravitate to the idea of net worth. Not unless you're a business person.
And when you get ahead,
And it's a big deal in business, but to a homeowner that works on a 40-week salary, net worth good is kind of a blind item. It's dollars
Have you?
in your pocket.
Have you all watched what's going on in Harvey County? They're in the paper is going on about that our appraisal is, their appraisals is not where they should be.
right.
And they are wanting it upped, but yet the commission has asked, well, what do we do about it? Well, there's nothing, unless it gets too bad, then the state will step in, they'll put a person in and do that. But the appraisals for Harvey County is not going up, but yet if you take this little flyer that comes to my house about once a month for houses, 500,000, 300,000 on a 60s built house, 70s built house, and 300,000, 250 to 300,000. Tell me that the appraisals ain't up there. I mean, for that area. I mean, not for maybe some of our area.
Comparable sales have driven some of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm saying that the commission can help remedy that.
Yeah.
We can work on the mill levy, and so it's, their evaluations are going up, so they're not freaking out that they're gonna pay more taxes. Well, they will if we hold the mill the same.
All right, if there's no further comments, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay, motion carried, we are 5-0, we are adjourned. Thank you all.